For the first time in many decades since the Cold War, America is technologically asleep and has been left behind by its international competitors in a supersonic technological race amplified with far-reaching military and diplomatic implications. Hypersonic weapons stand out from a few other emerging technologies, and the Pentagon's game-changing decision could shape the outcomes of future disagreements. But as American counterparts or competitors begin to develop new hypersonic missiles, the United States' effort continues to turn out as a disappointment. As the world evolves uncontrollably fast in technological advancement and world-powered countries like the US are falling behind in hypersonic technology, it is rather frightening or threatening as major countries in the world like Russia and China have incredibly advanced in hypersonic technology while leaving others late to catch up. How is it possible that the United States, with a $700 billion yearly defense project, can't develop efficient hypersonic missiles? However, should we assume that this sudden hypersonic revolution in military weaponization looks rather scary than appealing? As we ponder over this, we should also ask, how do we defeat hypersonic weapons? Make sure to stick around and don't flinch as we reveal facts and shocking answers to these questions. Countries such as China, Russia, and maybe a few others have progressed massively below the radar in the design and development of supersonic cruise missiles and warheads. So, what is hypersonic technology? Who possesses this advanced technology? What benefits do the military and commercial sectors derive from it? Hypersonic technology represents spacecraft, missiles, aircraft, and rockets that can reach a speed through the atmosphere faster than the popular Mach 5, which is accelerating at 4,000 miles per hour. Frankly speaking, for most people, hypersonic weapons and aircraft represent yet another 21st century technological success whereby science fiction transforms into science fact. However, hypersonic became miserable in the lab massively due to military indifference. 2 months ago, a top Space Force official in the US stated that the United States has a lot of catching up to do very quickly to match Beijing's hypersonic capabilities, a week after China successfully launched a missile that circled the globe before hitting its target. A week earlier, Russia also launched a hypersonic missile from its warship. Embracing how fast Washington, D.C.'s two significant competitors are racing ahead in this competition, the Vice Chief of Space Operation, General Thompson David said, "We are not as advanced as the Chinese or the Russians in terms of hypersonic programs." This was during his statement at the Halifax International Security Forum. Hypersonic missiles fly at least 5 times the speed of sound. Given this, it makes it rather difficult for the missiles to glide at such immense speeds through the atmosphere while changing their direction at such hyperspeed. This makes them impossible to track and destroy with existing radars. Though the Pentagon has made sure to postpone the development of new hypersonic missiles, the Army isn't scheduled to test its first missile until 2024. However, the Navy is anticipating equipping its destroyers with its version of hypersonic missiles by 2025, and its Virginia-class submarines by 2028. What does the US government need to consider to develop a supersonic missile? All aspects of hypersonic flight are being actively researched and developed, from materials to withstand high temperatures generated in the atmosphere to more efficient propulsion systems that will reduce the size, weight, and power-constrained enhanced electronics for sensors, guidance, communications, and various harsh environmental applications. Pretty amazing, right? How does the United States intend to stop supersonic weapons? The head of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, John Aquilino, stated that it should be no surprise to anyone that China is developing capabilities that will be viewed negatively by like-minded allies and partners. However, it is critical to remember that hypersonic missiles travel at over 5 times the speed of sound, or 6,100 kilometers per hour, and they are efficiently able to maneuver swiftly while inbound to their target. Their astonishing speed and unpredictable flight paths make these hypersonic weapons more deadly and difficult to track and detect, executing unparalleled strike capabilities against high-value, time-dependent, and highly defended targets. However, in an interview with Politico, Thompson stated, "The Space Force is working to figure out the type of satellite constellation that we need to track these missiles." Continued, "Although it is a new challenge, it is not that we don't have the answer to this challenge. We just have to understand it, fully design it, and fly it." Scientists and various people have expressed their dissatisfaction with how the slow and risk-reluctant acquisition process is affecting the military competition from beneath the sea and into space. Thompson stated, "The bureaucracy that we have built into our defense and acquisition enterprise, not just in space but in other areas, the fact that we have not needed to move very quickly for a couple of decades in the sense of strategic competitors with these capabilities, has not driven us or required us to move quickly." The Chinese leader Xi Jinping has publicly spelled out plans for his military to achieve equality with the United States by 2027 and to emerge as the leading global power by 2050. This signifies that Beijing's rapid growth of new weapons is rather due to this. Aquino, in response to this statement, said, "We should expect capabilities like that to show up, and I think the answer to our system has to be able to respond much more quickly." Concerns have been raised about the emerging ultra-fast weapon systems, which have the potential to destabilize relations between the United States, China, and Russia. This may also become a battleground in the competition between Beijing and Washington, D.C., as the world's two largest economies clash over trade, technology, and humanitarian concerns. Raytheon is designing and developing a hypersonic cruise missile for the United States. Hypersonic capability is the most destabilizing threat to the homeland, Hayes says. The time to react is very, very short. Raytheon's Missiles and Defense Unit in September 2021 successfully test-fired a hypersonic cruise missile that possessed the capability to travel at a speed greater than Mach 5 as part of a development contract for the United States Air Force and the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, the Defense Department's Advanced Technology Development Agency. However, the Missile Defense Agency awarded contracts to Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and Northrop Grumman. This contract was awarded to these companies in a competition to develop a new hypersonic glide phase interceptor that possesses the capability of destroying an incoming hypersonic missile. After the news broke that China conducted 2 hypersonic weapons tests over the summer, including the recent news of said hypersonic glide vehicle, when launched from a missile or rocket, the craft dismantles and unzips towards the target while maneuvering through the atmosphere, Hayes said. Such weapons can reach speeds of 22,000 miles per hour. Hayes also commented, "We will have weapons to challenge the adversaries, but most importantly, I think our focus is how do we develop counter-hypersonics." He continued, "This is where the challenge will begin." America only has plans to design and develop new conventional or non-nuclear hypersonic weapons at present. This possesses bigger technical challenges than fielding nuclear power plants. Nuclear weapons, on the other hand, don't need to be nearly as accurate due to their basic size and the relative size of their blast radius. However, a conventional weapon possesses less destructive power and therefore must be highly accurate to efficiently and swiftly destroy its target. Both of Russia's operational hypersonic weapons, the KH-47M2 Kinzhal and the Avangard Boost glide vehicle, can be equipped with nuclear warheads. China's DF-17 has been carefully considered nuclear capable, but is not publicly called a nuclear weapon. However, its significant purpose is to annihilate aircraft carrier-sized targets at a great distance, possibly at a distance of 1,000 miles, and till this moment, there is little proof to suggest that their targeting weaponized system can completely accomplish such a feat with a conventional warhead. It is also vital to note that there's a disagreement to be made that new and extensively advanced nuclear weapons, hypersonic or whichever comes next, offer only a little strategic value. Any prevailing nuclear exchange will simultaneously result in a full-scale war. When can any of the major world powers assume strategic value? Strategic value can only emerge or be enhollowed in a weapon that forces a compulsory stray away from your opponent's strategy. To date, Russia's hypersonic weapons don't seem intimidating enough to assume that position. However, China has forced a compulsory and massive shift in the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps top priorities thanks to the emergence of the DF-17. But it is still significant to keep in mind that this shift is prioritized on the anticipation that China will eventually surpass the massive technical barriers associated with targeting any moving vehicle or craft at range, and not the compulsorily on the understanding that they already have. It seems clear that the conversation about the modern hypersonic technological race has been slightly tampered with due to a certain combination of confusion about the latest defense terminology, but that the end of the story would mean neglecting the Mach 5 giant here, considering how the US is falling behind in hypersonic technology. What would be your take on the US's slow pace towards hypersonic technology advancement? What's your take on China and Russia's constant evolution in stocking and testing hypersonic warheads and missiles? Remember to drop your comments and let us know your thoughts on all of this. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.